Мне не о чем говорить с этими сволочами европейскими. Мне не о чем говорить с хохлами. Перемирие вы хотите? А я хочу вашей смерти. Мы другие. Поэтому вы, европейские сволочи, заслужили от нас только одного. Мщение.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a dream. Yum, 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 yummity yum. Bring your sour cream.
Shell, meat, lettuce, cheese. Shell, meat, lettuce, cheese. Shell, meat, cheese, 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 cheese.
It's raining tacos. Raining tacos. Raining tacos. It's raining tacos. It's raining tacos. Raining tacos. Raining tacos.
Lettuce, cheese.
It's raining tacos. Tacos.
That's right. The
Welcome,
2012 internet classic. It's
Oh
raining
my
tacos.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
'Cause, well, yeah.
Unbelievable, buddy. That was par excellence. I gotta give it
Thank
to
you
you,
very
man. And thank you for using my my AI generated memes.
Oh, yeah. I saw them. I'm like, oh, this is what's happening.
It was a delight to see them. So let me retweet this. Go, please, Heidi. I apologize.
Oh my God. Welcome everybody to Radicalized Truth Survives, also known on Thursday nights as Rad Pod and Not So Chill. Although I feel like it might end up being kind of a chill night. As we always say, life during fascism, we still have to live our lives and still have to celebrate the good when it happens. And I'm really stoked, High Fidelity, that you included the reference to the UN report confirming that Russia is committing war crimes in Kherson by hunting people, hunting civilians with drones. It's a very important story. Those of you who watch Radicalized Truth Survives have known about this for some time because of the work of Zarina Zabriskie, war correspondent, author, poet, who's been living in the war zone for many years now. And full disclosure, I helped executive produce her film that's coming out, and it's about what is called Human Safari, and it's just incredible. And we're going to be talking more about that. Zarina's going to be on the show in a few days, and more news on that. But she worked very hard to make the international community aware that this was happening, and this is the new evil frontier of war. And it's incredibly important that the United Nations released its report, and she's been doing a ton of interviews about that. So go, Zarina. As we say on this show, you can't do everything, but you can do something, and that is what she has been contributing. So, what up, guys?
It takes a minute for people to believe that the fucking Russians are literally hunting people with little robots with bombs on them, right? Like, at first it's like, whoa, hold up, what kind of Skynet shit are we in, right? And it takes people like Zarina being there, like, no, dummies. Here's the video. Here's my friend who was injured. Here are the 3 civilians who were murdered by this human safari tonight. I mean, she was relentless and
Yeah,
a personal absolute hero of mine, and everyone
absolutely.
should
And
follow
the
her and support her.
trailer, yeah, all of the above. The trailer is now ready to view. So high fidelity. I don't know if you want to look it up while we're doing the show in this hour, but it would be amazing to be able to show it to our friends here. Incredible work, really important. And yeah, so that's a really good way to start off this show. Also, very stoked that we had an interview with Michael MacKay. Of course, our longtime viewers will recognize him. He helped me understand that there are women leaders in Eastern Europe who should be the faces we see every day and who should be having the headlines and the words that we hear every day. They are very aware of Russia being the problem. They are very aware of the continual aggression against the West coming from Russia. They don't mince words. And one of them, the leader of Moldova, actually took on the oligarchs, which we failed to do. We had 4 years to do something. We didn't do anything meaningful. And now said oligarchs are collaborating, according to unreliable source Pavel Durov on the Telegram Musk, you know, collaboration, whatever you want to call it. And that's really bad. Great way to fund a lot more Nazis, great way to launder a lot more money into Russian information warfare. And just, it's good to know that there are women leaders in Eastern Europe who actually see the threat and in their own countries deal with the threat. So looking forward to hearing from Michael on multiple topics in this hour. And what else? I see the big finger coming up from High Fidelity. He's got the big finger coming up.
The finger, my finger must speak. Yes. Can we just
We,
talk
we
about
need to
Elon
we need
Musk?
to draw a little face on that little eyes and a little, Okay.
I mean, I
Hold
also
on,
want
hold on.
to
Elon Musk. Elon Musk. Right
Pavel,
fucking now.
Pavel,
Elon Musk. Oh, Elon Musk is leaving the American government. You people are fools. If you don't think that his operatives aren't deep in our government, if you don't think that
Yeah.
they're still going to give him billions of dollars, you're
You
gullible,
ain't
and I got
paying
a bridge to sell
attention.
you.
You ain't paying attention. Yes, Jim.
Peter
Yes,
Thiel
Jim.
left
Yes, Jim.
politics too, right?
Yeah. Oh, hey, thanks for checking us out. Still a piece of garbage. Where is it, High Fidelity?
I lost it. I was waiting for
uh,
Jim.
so on the other hand, Stephen Miller and Elon Musk seem to have had a falling out in the White House, wherein in case you missed it out there, sorry for laughing, but it
It's
appears there
funny.
was some sort of a Nazi throuple happening between Elon Musk, Stephen Miller, and Katie Johnson. Is that it? No. What's her last name? I can't remember. Anyway, Stephen Miller's wife was apparently engaged in a throuple with the two of
Oh,
them
come
and
on.
chose when Elon Musk left the White House. And it's unclear the causality, right? We don't know if maybe Elon Musk is leaving the White House because there was some sort of
A thruple kerfuffle.
misunderstanding,
A thruple kerfuffle.
kerfuffle,
My contribution.
some kind of unmeeting of the minds in the White House. I mean, honestly, and forgive me for putting it so bluntly,
So
but
gross.
who walks into the White House and thinks to themselves, I know, I need to fuck Stephen Miller's wife? Like, who thinks that?
Jim, is this conspiracy?
I'm
Is
sorry.
this like real life? What is this?
I won't say I've never
No,
had that thought.
it is. It is. Hold on. So I want to talk about Pavel Durov for a minute before we move
Muy
on.
importante.
Because we're talking about Elon Musk and these things are connected. So reported by Pavel Durov, although Elon Musk wrote him a reply saying there's no deal signed, so we'll see. But Pavel Durov says that there is a deal between Telegram and XAI, which runs Grok and now owns X, by the way. Grok owns Twitter, not the other way around. And that's important, right? So XAI, the company that owns Twitter and created Grok, is going to enable Grok for the 1 billion Telegram users. Now, there are some people who use it for perfectly legitimate reasons, especially overseas, because it whatever. But it is a functionally an organ of Russian intelligence. Pavel Durov is fucking Russian.
Oh yeah.
He lives in the UAE. I could go through his whole history, but there's no point.
Arrested in France.
Is a festive reunion of every Russian agent and all Russian propaganda you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
If you haven't been there, don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's going to happen now? If you know anything about Grok, it's pretty based, right? It's still reasonably accurate, to Grok's credit, I guess, despite the fact that a lot of its inputs are Twitter, which is a fucking Nazi sewer.
Cesspool.
But it's nothing compared to Telegram. So what's going to happen is those billion users are going to be searching Grok and talking to Grok about all sorts of shit. It's going to be teaching Grok all kinds of things. It's going to be, making Grok think that the human race is a pit of cults and Nazis, like Telegram.
Yeah.
And that's not a small thing, right? Because Elon Musk is doing stuff like, and I'll land here, integrating Grok into Teslas. Right? Literally, XAI is controlling parts of Teslas. It's not driving it yet, I don't think, but those things will merge. And at that point, we have a real problem, because now we have this very powerful thing that's connecting to all kinds of people in all sorts of ways, which has effectively been poisoned by an enormous Nazi Russian propaganda operation.
Baby, take a bow.
Will Teslas have the same, what is it, unscheduled rapid disassemblies that SpaceX has? I mean, I already know they catch fire. Now are they just going to fucking just fall apart on the highway, or what?
Well, I mean, if people missed it, 3 starships exploded in a row, Nazi Roman candles, as I like to refer to them. And I wrote an article, not to be shameless, but called "Rapid Scheduled Disassembly," because all of the shit is just part of the intentional dismantling of all the things that we have all gotten used to as people who live in a free democracy.
Yeah.
And so his stupid Nazi Roman candles, which we're paying for, and make no mistake, that's all government welfare. We're paying for that shit. Anyway.
Yeah. No, that's important.
It's all an intentional part of what Thiel and Sachs and Musk have been doing for 30 years, including, as has been more recently brought up again, Bitcoin, because Donald Trump did what? Took all the regulations away and all of the enforcement parts of the government away from crypto, and then announced that he was going to have $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin pumped into his private Trump media company, which makes no money at all, by the way. Made literally like 150 grand last year, but is worth $15 billion.
Yeah.
That's it's
His
it
his
is
his his area of expertise is pyramid schemes and Ponzi schemes. So that just tracks
you
beautifully.
know what, I don't usually quote David Frum, but briefly he said this is like a post-colonial African
Yeah. Yeah.
dictatorship or a post-Soviet
Yeah.
or dictatorship. Literally,
Listen.
he's exactly right.
Yeah.
The in terms of the corruption,
Yeah.
like it's just so wow.
Every 6 months,
Not to mention
I
planes.
actually retweet a David from thread that I wrote in 2018 based on an article he wrote January of 2017, right after the 2016 election, and I always go back to it because he predicted note for note what would happen if people did not resist this, and what would happen to women reporters, and what would happen to institutions. And one of the things that I always go back to is he said, if this were happening in Honduras, we would know what to call it. But because it's happening in America, we are mystified. And again, this is 2017, January. You know what I mean? Like we had a lot of time to understand what's going on here. But as we always say, at the end of all of this, I believe the media will be the biggest villain because they continue even till this day to undersell this fascist creep that's been happening.
Can I
Yes,
mention
please. Jim rarely
just briefly
rarely
because
gives the big finger, so here we go.
I give the figure more than you,
Well,
but
not that. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, what's that, Jim?
yeah. So I wrote an article about that, about how the press is doing more than sort of both sidesing
Oh yeah,
things. Um, it's about how one word matters. So all day long, I had MSNBC on, and they're talking about Harvard and stuff,
right.
and every single word they used for what this abusive fascist
Yeah.
what the fuck
Oh
thing that
yeah.
Trump is doing is
Yeah.
a feud
Oh no.
or a
Yeah.
showdown
No.
or a battle.
Yeah.
And I'm
It's
like,
not reality TV, kids.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not hold on. It's not any of those fucking
Yeah.
things. It is not some kind of two-way thing. It is a unilateral, tyrannical, performative, fascist destruction of the Constitution. And if you can't figure out that it matters when you say that, even if the people who are talking on the screen, right? They had Jason Stanley on
Yeah.
there while one of these things is going
Yeah.
on underneath him, and I'm like, Jason would want to kill you
Yeah.
because this is not I mean, no,
We know
it's
you're
Jason's
talking
not,
metaphorically, Jim.
but he would say just that this is not what it is. It's just like when Trump says it's a feud between Ukraine and between Zelensky and Putin, right? That everybody's to blame or Zelensky's to blame or whatever, right? It is the same goddamn thing. And if some part of the press cannot work out that no, actually words matter,
Yeah.
and that you can't fit this anymore into your model,
No,
we're dead.
that's right.
We're dead.
We've been saying,
Somebody has to keep truth
yeah.
survives. Hey, we named our podcast that.
I know. And being in
That was
as
your
What a
part.
riot.
as
I was radicalized and she was truth
That's
survived.
right.
In
Because
case
I wanted to say yes, this is the
this
problem,
is
but
great.
truth is going to
This is the thing.
survive, and we are still, Timothy Snyder said, post-truth is pre-fascism, and we are still on that post-truth border. And if we do not rededicate all ourselves to truth, this becomes like malignant. And I don't know how much more we can do, but that's what we scream about every single week. And yeah, Jim, what's happening? Is there a plane going by? What was that? Heard
Oh no,
something.
that was a motorcycle going by. Sorry. I
So anyway, speaking of all of this, speaking of the Orwellian name, Truth Social. When I interviewed Michael MacKay a couple days ago, I did ask him because I always follow his timeline. He has such a clear-eyed view of things. He's able to cut through all of the propaganda noise. He does a masterful job. A lot of it comes from the fact that he lived in Ukraine, was an election observer in Ukraine. So he's been documenting Russia's war for 11 years daily, unfailingly. But I did ask him to start with that post that Trump put out where it became clear that he was behaving as Russia's protector, because I thought it would be important to actually start there and get Michael's insights. So I believe clip one, if you have it, begins with me reading one of Michael's tweets.
I think it is historically been very difficult for the political elites and the press around them in the United States to get out of a bubble because it's been so ingrained and it's become an echo chamber. And that when things intrude on that, in other words, reality, it has been easy to dismiss it and change the channel, especially when multi-channel universe, and it's so easy to change the channel or how short the attention span is.
Right.
So when events like that happen, they have to pay attention to it, but then find a way to get around it. So for example, you might say, well, today Trump admitted that he is Russia's protector. And you would say, well, there's no way back from that, right? He just admitted his role as a Russian operative. But the thing is, there will be where, and you already see the commentators saying, oh, he's changing his tone on Russia and he might get tough, kind of thing. And I thought, no, this is the old nonsense and so on. If he might get tough, he would be tough. And so
Right.
that's just nonsense. So unfortunately, I've made the mistake in the past of thinking, surely Americans will wake up now. Now, many Americans do, but there is this establishment that
So that's the second one. Let's play the first one this time.
You write, Trump admits he's protecting Russia from the consequences of its armed aggression. And I want to read you what Trump said so I can get your comment on it. What Vladimir Putin doesn't realize is that if it weren't for me, lots of really bad things would have already happened to Russia. And I mean really bad, all caps. He's playing with fire, exclamation point. How are you able to see through the propaganda by saying he's just admitted he's protecting Russia from the consequences of its armed aggression?
Well, just following, well, first of all, thank you for having me and again, and how am I able to see it? By just following through on that thought. So what is he saying? If not for me? Well, if not for him, then the president would be Kamala Harris, wouldn't it? And she wouldn't be protecting Putin like he is. That's the logical consequence of what he said. And he's basically saying to Putin, I'm your protector. You should show more gratitude towards me. And there's no awareness of what Putin is actually doing, which is, of course, attacking Ukrainian defenders and civilians. And there's no awareness that he promised to stop that. It's just this complete lack of awareness on his part. But anyone in the world can see, oh, you just said that you are Russia's shield. But also that you didn't say you were going to stop. Notice that he didn't say that he was going to do anything. He just whined publicly.
Right.
And I thought, what a display of weakness of someone whose persona.
Trump always chickens out.
Talk about that for a second? So I wrote an article, sort of tongue in cheek, called "Gullible Old Bigot Syndrome."
I saw that. Nice title, Jim.
Thank you. So GOBS is a pandemic. There is a pandemic of gobs around. And Trump, I think, and Michael's hitting on it there. You know, it may be that back in the day there was more real conspiracy thinking going on in his head, right? That he was actually working with people on plans and had some kind of fucking, you know, idea about where something might be going. But there really isn't anymore. He's genuinely confused why Putin is not just sort of playing this game. He knows the long-term goal is for Putin to just take Europe, and he's going to take North America, but he wants Putin to stop on his terms, and he just wants things to go his way. And he just doesn't understand who he's dealing with.
KGB.
And honestly, it's honestly, yes, because the KGB brain fucked him.
Yeah.
I
Long time
really
ago.
don't think people understand how powerful this is, right? When you go and visit Russia and get yourself locked in rooms with them and God knows what,
Right.
you come out of there different. I'll tell you one other person who went to Russia and came out different was Mike Flynn.
Word.
In June of 2013, speaking of Ukraine,
Yeah.
in June of 2013, Mike Flynn went to Moscow and came back. He was always Mr. Conspiracy and had all kinds of fucked up shit going on. But he came back and was like, I am now working for the fucking Russians. Just everything he did, everything he does from that point forward, like and it's not because, you know, like he's getting secret messages from the GRU. It's deeper than that. Like they have him convinced for real inside that being an ally of Russia is better than being an ally of, say, Canada. Like, because Canada is woke. And Russia, you know,
You remember,
that's
Jim,
really
they
where
target the
we're at.
misfits, they target the people who feel like they've been wrong, they target those who are seeking
In the
revenge, you know,
psychopath.
they target those who have committed criminal acts, they target the sexual deviants. We know how this handbook works. Our friend Michael Weiss came upon it and translated it, and Keir Giles is the one who kind of led us to that with that brilliant clip that we have of Kier where he delineates all the things. And so you can look at all the people who are Russian propagandists and you can just say A, B, C, D, E, tick it right off the list. They know exactly who to
It is a
target.
dark tetrad.
Was what?
The dark tetrad.
Yeah.
The dark tetrad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Come on,
Yeah.
man. So what else is going on before we show another Michael clip? I'm sure there's so
Hold
much
on. I got to
happening.
address some things. I got to address some things right quick.
Oh god.
Yeah. Anyway, so like I spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley, a lot of time in the business world doing IT stuff. And there are two things when we talk about Elon Musk and we talk about his rockets exploding, right? Uh there are two acronyms I think everyone should know, and one is TCO, the total cost of ownership, and the other is ROI, the return on investment, right? And all you have to do to anyone who still thinks Elon Musk is he's a billionaire genius, an engineer to end all engineers, just point out the fact that a little over $4 billion of taxpayer money has been spent on his rockets blowing up. And what exactly is our return on investment on that? I don't get it.
No, it's way more than
I was
that.
going to
It's
say
The
way more
welfare
than that.
they set people
Yeah,
is
it's a
way
corporate
more than that.
welfare system that needs dismantled and refigured because it's wrong. And the other thing is, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Merz is in Germany. He's currently the prime minister. He's doing a munitions and arms deal with Ukraine, in which certain German ammunitions and German missiles, etc., will be manufactured in Ukraine. And the Russian propagandist came with, well, then we'll just have to bomb Berlin. That is that whole Russia nuclear psychosis World War III, rah, rah, rah. Okay, let's just get this real straight real fast, okay? Russia is not going to bomb anybody in NATO. They are not going to invoke in Article 5. Russia has been losing so much military equipment that they are sending men into battle on bicycles and mopeds, okay? Russia is building its armaments and its bases next to Finland. All right. Russia is playing mind games. That's what Russia does.
Okay,
Russia is
so
failing.
here's the thing. Okay, so I understand what you're saying, but the problem is when you hear Elon Musk saying, "Oh, we're gonna bring them in to work on a space program to Mars or whatever," that is just a way to funnel money to Russia. So Europe needs to do everything, like Hi-Fi was saying, to support Ukraine before they get injection of cash from America that was stolen from America. So when I hear things like Pavel Durov talking about these big deals, I just think, oh, here we go. So I very much want to make sure that people understand that there's a weakened economy now. They're having their ass handed to them over and over again, but that may not be what it looks like in a few months from now, which is why there's a small window to actually do what everybody's saying and support the hell out of Ukraine. The people in Denmark are literally just saying, here, take all of our money, take our money for our military, Ukraine, and you guys do what you need to do with it. You're doing a better job of building the equipment you need to fight this war. So that is called the Danish model, and more people need to follow it.
Absolutely. And it's let's be very honest here. Russia has been at war. They started this war in Ukraine 11 years ago in 2014, right? Um, we are still arguing about if we should release seized Russian money to Ukraine. Still, we argue about this. I don't understand why. And I think there's more and more people are starting to get that mindset, and I think that's very important.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few Republicans that are starting to get pissed off
Yeah.
with Putin.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'll give you an example. Newt
I
Gingrich
know.
was like, hey, I mean, of all people, I'm agreeing with Newt Gingrich. Mike Flynn rolls in. Newt Gingrich's like, give him some fucking arms. Putin's being a bitch, basically. and Mike Flynn's like, absolutely not, and has an absolute conniption fit.
Yeah.
And now tying two of these things together, Mike Flynn went to Moscow in June of 2013, and in February of 2014, Vladimir Putin rolled into Crimea with GRU Spetsnaz soldiers. And nobody in America had any fucking idea because Mike Flynn closed everybody's eyes and ears to it and made sure that nobody paid any attention to the 100,000 soldiers that were building up on the border and rolled in and just took Crimea with no resistance. That would not have happened if Mike Flynn had not intentionally, it's not blue and I'm making it up, it's in the newspaper, told FBI the CIA to stand down when the CIA was like, yo, looks like there's a shitload of Russians. Flynn at the DIA said, oh, don't you worry your pretty little head, didn't tell Obama, and then went on various places to lie about it.
Yeah.
And then, to Obama's credit, 6 weeks later, got fired.
Yeah.
To Obama's credit, he didn't tell people why.
Yeah.
And still hasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't people always forget this, how Flynn took all that money from Turkey and then wrote, pro-Turkey op-ed, that was just like, I mean, it's just all this stuff is public, and him being at the dinner with Vladimir Putin, and it's all public, but it's somehow
Speaking of public,
yes. I think
can I
I
mention?
think you actually instigated him, Flynn, deleting a tweet. Am I right?
Yes. Oh,
Well
man.
done, Jim.
Yeah, well, this one was he wrote "pray" underneath a tweet which described what has been talked about as the sort of 20th century version of the protocols of
Oh,
the 21st century protocols of the elders of
oh my
Zion,
God.
um, which describes a theoretical conspiracy by a Jewish guy named Kalergi, who supposedly had a plan to mix all the races together and create a mongrel race. And Flynn literally was like, "Pray this doesn't happen." And I was like, "Wow, that's some very dark shit." But he did delete that, so good for you. But the internet is forever, and you still haven't shown up to your deposition, motherfucker. So anyway, but that's
I
not.
still can't
But
believe this is real
that's not what I
life.
was going to
All
say.
right, Jim.
Yeah.
Is this just fantasy caught in a landslide?
Yeah, no escape from
Yeah.
reality.
So where I was going with that is, so last night Donald Trump tweeted out a picture of QAnon, of himself. Let me make sure I get it right.
Here, why don't you share it? Share it
It's
with the class, man.
I guess I can do
Yeah, you
that.
can.
I don't. I'm worried. It says he's on a mission from God,
Oh yeah,
and nothing can stop what
yeah,
is coming.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
he's on a mission from
yeah,
God.
yeah,
What? And then, if you don't know, nothing can stop what is coming
yeah,
is an extremely common
yeah.
QAnon term,
Rehashing their greatest hits. Yeah.
including one of the last things that he said in 2020. And this is the president saying, and behind it is a little Pepe meme, which is, anti-Semitic, like alt-right, meme shit. And it's, right out there. So I wrote this article of, that was one thing, right? So what's happening there? Let's be super clear. He's connecting Christianity, religion, actual religion, to himself, to QAnon,
Mm-hmm.
right? To this
Yeah.
this a bunch of posts on 4chan, right? And then 8chan. What the
It
hell?
just,
So that's
yeah,
Trump.
it worked the first time.
And at the same time, you have Kash Patel and Dan Bongi
I
Bingo
know.
on
I
Fox,
know. I know. Oh,
literally doing Pizzagate and QAnon shit.
yeah.
Like Epstein didn't kill himself and all of this shit. And
Yeah.
also, by the way, they're gonna open an investigation into pipe bomber.
Yeah. I know.
So in case anybody missed it, hat tip gal squad in all
Yeah.
fucking caps.
Yeah.
Pipe bomber is Ivan Reitman.
Yeah.
Ivan
Oh,
Reitman.
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, Ivan
Allegedly.
Reitman.
Allegedly.
But it
Absolutely
So
fucking
allegedly.
looks like allegedly.
Anyway,
as much as I'd like to continue talking about all these assholes, I think it's so important that this very smart group, hello everybody who's in our chat. I love all you guys. I'm looking at all these cool comments and cool people. I think it's so important you guys help us spread the news that there are women leaders in Eastern Europe who are so bomb ass and so brave and doing so many great things. So please watch the full episode with Michael MacKay and please share it. And I did a print version of this story in Byline Times in my hot type column last week, and it is unpaywalled. So share that too, because we need to be hearing more from women who actually get this and who actually would be major threats to these weak ass shitty men that we've been discussing. And so please watch the full episode with Michael MacKay because he shows you who all they are in Moldova, in Georgia, in Belarus, and also a woman who's very powerful in the EU Commission. Please check that out. And we have another clip from Michael talking about some of this stuff.
What would happen if the press did their job and fulfilled their duty to inform? I think we would have the ideal of democracy. We would have citizens who were aware of what was going on in the world and able to make an informed choice about how to proceed. So if the press would say, we need to give more support to Ukraine, okay, that's just a statement. But if you say, well, wait a minute, Russia is attacking Ukraine right now, this evening, with drones, um, guided bombs, and possibly missiles. I haven't checked in the last little while, but they're definitely attacking with drones. Ukraine does not have sufficient air defense to counter it. Ukraine does not have the means to strike back at the launch sites of these because they've been denied it. And therefore, a lot of these drones and possibly missiles will get through. But it didn't have to be that way. If Ukraine was supported, they would be stopped. If Ukraine was supported, those launch sites would have been destroyed before they even were launching these attacks. That's the context in which, when you hear what someone like Maya Sandu says or Kaja Kallas says, that why it makes sense. The context in which it's presented. They're not just the empty words of Russian information warfare packaged for Western ears. But I try to make that connection, but who am I? I don't have the reach of mainstream media, who can say, tonight, I read the report, today, by this evening, Russia launched 87 ground attacks. And then I pointed out where they were. So Russia is invading. None of these words have affected that. And I'm looking at the rate of battle. That's about the same as it's been.
Anyway, Hi-Fi, when he cut the clips, wasn't doing my ins and outs, but that's all right. Hi-Fi, you're probably cutting them live.
No,
The
you know what I
point,
think is happening? I think when I upload
what?
them, I think this software is shuffling the order around in
It
which
don't
I uploaded
matter.
them.
I don't care. Bottom
Uh,
line is
well, we
listen
got one
to.
more.
Okay, okay. Wait, let's see it. Let's go ahead and see it.
All right, let's see it.
Yeah. And to finish your thought about us seeing all these images of these two horrible men, we're also presented with their words, which are lies or half truths, which is all information warfare. And these women leaders that we talked about in our article, it's the opposite. First of all, we don't see their images, but if we were to hear their words, we would say, "Oh, there's insight there. I've learned something. I know something here," and it's just such a shame that they are absolutely ignored in Western Europe and North America. They
Yeah,
are
it's
they are
madness.
paid attention
Yeah.
to in Eastern Europe, um, and their words have weight as they should. And I think
Yeah. I love what he said about information warfare repackaged for American audience. Russia doesn't care if it's Moldova or the United States. They do the exact same things. And the interesting case about Moldova is just that the same election in 2016 that happened in America happened in Moldova with a woman who is pro democracy versus a Putin puppet. The Putin puppet won in 2016, but the woman, Maya Sandu, came back in 2020 and beat him. She came back in 2024 and she took on oligarchs. She did the things that we needed to do here. And this is just a small country of 1.5 million people, but they know what to do. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, we've said over and over again, democracy dies in euphemisms. And as Jim was saying, uh, euphemisms have replaced reality, which is why we are so dangerously post-truth right now. But we fight for it here. What else, guys?
Actually, I just have a little tip. If you have a podcast and you use Restream and you upload all of your clips at one time and just hit add, it will completely alter the order in which you upload your clips. Just so you
And
know.
this PSA was sponsored by whatever weeds a Hi-Fi is smoking for pain management right now. Jim, what's on your mind? We got a few more minutes to fill this show, and then I
Yeah,
get to
I
celebrate my birthday.
Happy birthday,
Thank
Heidi.
y'all.
Happy birthday
Thank
to
y'all.
Heidi. Everybody.
Thank
Happy
y'all.
birthday to
Thank
Heidi.
y'all. Thank you. Thank you. It is a happy birthday.
So just wanted to sort of close the loop on what I was saying before about what I'm seeing in unfortunately in the QAnon world, which is a sort of what I see is basically state-sponsored religion, right? Where Donald Trump, the long term, they want to replace Jesus in their belief system. Now, this is not a new idea. You may be shocked to learn, if you don't know already, that Hitler had this same idea. Hitler had an idea called positive Christianity that made Jesus super Aryan and emphasized all the anti-Jew parts of the Bible and was, according to the Nazis who were putting it out there, basically just a in-between step between replacing Jesus altogether. But they wanted to co-opt it and sort of co-opt Christianity along with it. And so what Donald Trump is doing now, not only with his meme, but also by having people like Kash Patel, like the actual FBI director. Remember, like this is the actual FBI director, actual deputy FBI director. Pam Bondi is absolutely doing her part and was one of the people who let Jeffrey Epstein get away with all this crap. Anyway,
Fucking believe
right? Are effectively sponsoring from the state, and this is coming from the White House account in lots and lots of different ways, glorifying violence and sort of Gestapo-like tactics to round up, illegals that could just as easily be Jews in Nazi Germany if it wasn't in color. And so the point is not Blue and On was right, look, but Blue and On was right, and this belief system is now at the highest possible level of the American government. Trump, or at least the people around him, which is really the same thing at this point, are fully invested in reanimating this. One of the things that I saw recently, and I'll close, this part with this was, and thanks to, as always, Head Tip Gal for pointing this out to me. But a bunch of Mike Flynn's people are all in a room together, Ivan Raikkonen and Liz Crokin and, the worst of all the people all together in a room planning openly how they're going to reanimate Pizzagate. There's
rehashing the greatest hits.
Roger Stone, check this out. Roger Stone retweeted a guy who accosted Anthony Weiner. We're going back to Anthony Weiner.
God.
Okay. Roger Stone retweeted him, accosting Anthony Weiner, calling him a pedo and doing the whole Pizzagate thing, the whole harassment thing, going back to fucking 20. Remember this from back in the day when they used to do this shit all the time? Well, they're Roger Stone is reanimating this, and the guest star in this room full of longtime Pizzagate propagandists was that guy. Now, if you don't know, Anthony Weiner is one of the main sort of side characters of Pizzagate and one of the central characters, at least, of early QAnon. Like the first actual Q drop after the first silly one about Hillary getting arrested in the beginning was all about Anthony Weiner and Huma and Mike Flynn. They're literally now with, and in the room, they're like, oh, we got cash and bongo. Don't worry about it. Like they'll back us up. I'm sure they'll They'll do some arrests after we expose the child traffickers. So this bananas like thing that everybody used to see, remember, like answering Chrissy Teigen like
Yeah.
20,000 years
Yeah.
ago, like, oh, you're eating babies.
Yeah.
Remember? Like, this is all
Yeah.
weird. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's now at the highest level of the US government with all of the force of American investigative and law enforcement power. So
And what is and
anyway,
what does that say
very
about
weekend.
those who are in those departments? Because I don't know, I'm sure many people have resigned. I'm sure some are just trying to keep their head down. But you can't work for that. You can't work with that. You can't work for that unless you are that, unless you too. And do you remember early on when we were doing this show, how we would hear from members of law enforcement who said, I retired early, or I had to, leave my post because my entire department had gone QAnon, even my supervisors. So, um, I don't know what to say. I think that of all the things that we expose on this show, that to me, what you just brought up is one of the scariest things. They seem to be a mix of true believers and some really, really sick people.
It's American. It's
Well,
American ISIS.
it literally is, right? And we've talked about this before, but just say it again. The reason why the subject matter is child abuse, sexual abuse, is that it just saying it makes me fucking cringe
Yeah.
and like it's awful.
Yeah.
It's an awful thing
You
that
can build a cult
that
around it.
arises immediately, these feelings. Yes, and they have, going back to the Crusades. I cannot emphasize that none of this is new. It's blood libel from the Crusades, when the crazy fucking Crusaders wanted an excuse to murder and ethnically cleanse Jews.
Mm.
So they made up all this stuff about Jews drinking the blood of babies
Oh.
and eating them, and doing horrible things to them in the 12th century. This thing has just gone on. The protocols of the elders of Zion are the same thing. So is the Kalergi plan. Same thing. Guess what else? Q. What? Just to summarize briefly, and then I'll shut up about this. What they're doing now is creating, and this is broad terms, but creating a religion with John Podesta's emails as the Old Testament, Q drops as the New Testament, and Donald Trump as the second coming. And what all of these people want is the final judgment. That is the sort of broad strokes of what's going on here. And it is, when it has the imprimatur of the White House on it, no matter how crazy the White House is, I can't imagine a more dangerous thing. And using these ideas of this emotional traumatic material absolutely is what enables it to brainwash people into cultic behaviors.
It's this horrible funhouse mirrors, like wherever you look, RFK, it's like, oh, distortion over there, no matter where you look. The White House press secretary, Barbie Goebbels, it's Stephen Miller, wherever you look, it's just bad and all bad. And, I really wonder if the 90 million people who didn't bother to vote feel bad yet about what has happened,
Okay,
because we
hold on.
really needed them to vote. Yes, high fidelity.
I got to get something down on tape for posterity, and this is from Gal Suburban. If you go to the Twitter user Alpha Warrior, they've become very close with Flynn, and he explained the plan in a different space 2 nights earlier than the space Jim referenced. He literally said, in the coming weeks, expect acceleration to the Q boards. So if you're investigating, QAnon or anything going on, there you go. There's Alpha Warrior with Flynn stating they're going to
Well,
weaponize the keyboards to.
Yeah.
All right, now hold on. One
None
more
of this
thing.
is.
One more thing, because this really fucking bothers me, and I need to talk about it right quick. QAnon's all about save the children, right? This right here is a 4-year-old girl, and she was receiving life-saving
okay,
care
you
in
don't
the
you don't have,
United
okay.
States.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
and
Okay.
Donald Trump just deported her.
Yeah.
So
So yeah,
it's
well, the cult has cognitive dissonance against anything related to Trump. They will only see it as the othering of Democrats or fill in the blank. They're not going to see the reality of that, unfortunately. Cult expert has told us about this, and we see the same things used over and over and over again. And what Gal just said is so important. You can't ignore it away. Unfortunately, Hi-Fi, what you said about people investigating it, well, we know about that, shit show. So many of the people who call themselves investigators of that are just controlled opposition. So it's up to Jim and Gal and some of our other colleagues to actually tell you what's going on. Jim, what were you going to say?
I have no idea at this point. I was listening to you.
Yeah, well,
You put me on the spot. I was actually reading Gal's
yeah,
important
yeah. And
post.
also, Gal is so right
There's
about it.
one,
Go ahead. One
yeah.
more thing about what Gal
What
said.
what I was going to say, and again, at to Gal in terms of the sort of cognitive dissonance and the pro-life,
Yeah,
sort of LARP of this. The Georgia QAnon legislature and courts are forcing a woman who was 6 weeks pregnant when she died, when she had brain death, to keep her on machines from 6 weeks. To keep what is almost certainly going to be a very, very challenged baby if it survives at all. Now, to be clear, the family itself said they might have made the same decision, but they didn't want the state
to step in.
to not only choose that for them, but make them pay for it.
Right.
They're on the hook for hundreds of that for this absolutely ghastly experimental thing that nobody has ever tried before, in order to prove some kind of horrific point.
Yeah.
And so the depth of the sort of depravity and inability to access morality anymore, the human side of it, it's going very, very deep, and
I know.
we're still real early here.
It's so
Unfortunately.
medieval. One thing that Gal said that I think is also very important is how they're going to uh, make everybody gawk and freak out and look at the Diddy trial, and I can already see how that's going to be used, just like we saw in a different way the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. I gotta say, I have not had a television since 2006. What you see behind me, not mine. This is just a place I'm staying for the night as I'm traveling.
It's okay, Heidi.
I don't turn those
It's
things
okay,
on. The
Heidi.
reason I say that is because
We
literally,
caught you with a TV.
literally, I was on a ferry, and on the ferry they were showing like BBC and the BBC, and it's like I used to not, because I produced TV news for 20 years, and I still have post-traumatic news syndrome. I was not able to even look at the screen. I was not able to see it again. I'm still traumatized by the media's role in not taking their duty to warn and taking their, oath serious, and continuing to put on propagandists and both sides everything, and having a television propagandizing to you without the tools to be able to see through it is really just incredibly dangerous. And that's how we ended up with reality TV fascism. Hi-Fi, I saw your
That
big finger
the
go up there.
the easiest way to fight that, and I've done this many, many times in many different places. Maybe it's just me that I'm willing to do this, but I either find the channel button, or I find the remote, or I find the person who has the remote, and I ask them to put on cartoons.
Well, okay. Well,
I
we
do
can't
it in
cartoon this
bars.
away either. I can't. Yeah,
No,
we
but
can't
it
cartoon it
certainly
away
breaks
either.
up the propaganda. That's the important
Yeah,
part.
that's true. And more music. Tonight I was able to see my friend Adrian Goldberg from Byline Radio. He launched a record label called Jenny's Feather Factory. I went to the record label launch, and why this is so beautiful is his Aunt Jenny perished in the Holocaust. She was murdered. She had a feather factory, and 80 something years later, there's finally some retribution, and he takes this, he takes this ultimately finally got this settlement, and he formed a record label in Birmingham. And I'm really, really excited because his aunt was very artful, and art is going to come of this. So I had to be there for that in my Pogue shirt. So once again, happy birthday to me. Good job, Adrian. And that's our show, I think, guys. That was pretty good.
I mean, if we do say so ourselves.
Well, we got
I
through
don't know,
another
man. I'm
hour.
just I'm
This
just
is
pushing
not
buttons
easy.
over here.
This is
Oh,
this is
hey,
not easy.
you know what? Jackie sent me this, and it's kind of weird, but I liked it, so we're going out on it. Y'all be cool.
Oh, say, can you see Texaco, KFC, Burger King, and Walmart washed down with a Pepsi? Donald Trump and Kim K, IDF, NRA, business suits, old white men, and the 1%. AK-47s, pray to God in heaven, you're the chosen man in your own stolen land. You'll lie all about genocide and bravely lead the way. Coca-Cola oil spills, Jesus Christ and landfill.